degree day. It's been a minute since I've shot a video. I've been having like major problems with my GoPro. I guess not necessarily major problems. It's mainly just if y'all watched my last video where I kind of showed a little snippet of my camera like shaking like crazy just out of nowhere. It's been doing that on like multiple recording sessions that I've tried doing. So there's basically like 2 videos I've tried shooting that both have had to be completely scrapped because like 5 minutes into the recording it starts shaking and it won't stop unless I like cancel the recording and then start a new one, and I'll have to basically start over. So throughout this I'll probably be opening my phone and checking to make sure the camera is still doing good, but I don't know, we'll see. Also, I don't know if y'all can hear this, but my bike is making like a train noise, like a chugga chugga chugga, like a noise. I tightened my chain up, and I guess there's like a little section in it where it's really stretched, and it's as it's coming off the sprocket, it's like grazing the back of the teeth on the sprocket. So later today after class I'm gonna go take it to get the chain, just to get a new chain put on it. On to today's subject of the video. I actually do have something I want to talk about, and it's about a situation that happened put this visor up. It's about a situation that happened last week at a car meet that is held every single week here in town on Wednesdays. Kind of the vibe of the meet is sort of just a normal park and chill kind of deal. People just kind of pull up, park. It's a bunch of cars, a bunch of motorcycles. There's a cafe that hosts the area, like hosts that parking lot and hosts the meet. They got some good food. Overall, it's just a very, you know, it's a very chill meet. Just show up, bunch of cars and bikes, talk with your buddies, and go inside and eat some food, okay? But basically what happened at the end of the meet last week, there was a group of bikers that pulled up all on, you know, raggedy sport bikes. I won't say the type of riders that were here, but they all pulled up on clapped 600s with a hacksaw exhaust on it. Like literally no muffler was found on any of them. They were all just dumped at the headers. So they were, and I think also some of them were stretched. So stretched, clapped 600s with no exhaust. So do with that information what you will, what kind of riders we're talking about here. But at the end of the meet, one of them decided that not in the street right outside where the meet is, because it's off of a road. He didn't do it off of the road. He didn't do it even in the middle of the line right here. Just for context, this isn't where the meet happens. It's just a parking lot I wanted to show. He didn't even do it in the road. He did it in a parking space next to other people's bikes, and there was like a bike or a car in front of him, and he started doing this long soupy burnout and was making a bunch of smoke, a bunch of noise, getting everybody's attention, and just pure like low IQ 300 credit score activities. And yeah, and the hosts of this meet, along with the cafe, is his husband and wife. Well, the wife comes storming over, pissed, as you can probably imagine, because this dude's basically showing his dick to everybody and just being like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And she comes over to him and is like, stop doing the burnout. Like, if you keep doing, like, if you do shit like that, we're not going to be allowed back here. Like, you're damaging this parking lot by doing that. So yeah, he does this long burnout and it gets a bunch of attention. And yeah, she comes over and is yelling at this dude who clearly doesn't care, because he just basically gets on his bike, rev bombs the whole meet, and then leaves. So, and anyways, after the fact, like, it was kind of a weird vibe and everyone kind of left, like, what's going to happen? Are the cops going to get called? Here's the thing where I'm torn with it on, and it's all building up to a bigger picture of why I'm in this specific location. Listen, I love burnouts and donuts and revving my bike because I like hearing the bike as much as the next person. I truly do. And I have nothing bad to say about those specific activities. However, there is a time and a place to do hooligan activities, okay? I like hooligan activities, but there's a time and place for it, okay? Because here's the reality of it. I know there's a guy at the meet, I guess that was like a buddy of his, that was saying, it's private property, so like we can do what we want, it's fine. No, you very much can't, because even though it's private property, that doesn't mean that the cops can't pull up there and be like, hey, y'all are making a bunch of smoke, a bunch of noise, people around here are complaining, someone's gonna kill themselves, and like, y'all need to like get out of here. Y'all aren't allowed to have meets here anymore. Like, they're gonna kick us out of the spot. We're not gonna be allowed back. And in this town, it's a pretty big town, but there's very limited amounts of spots that we can either go to for new stuff, or like if we had to relocate to a new meet, there's very limited spots. And on top of that, this area here, this parking lot I'm in right now, used to be a really big meet spot, but because people were acting like idiots, the cops got called here multiple times, and basically this whole parking lot, nobody is allowed to have meets here anymore because of a separate thing I'll talk about. But anyways, that is the main concern. It is not we're not trying to bully people for like doing burnouts. We're not trying to be what they call like sissies, or trying to be basically like the meat police or something like that. But the reality is that even though we all like doing fun things like that, like burnouts and donuts and revving and doing pulls by each other, like that's all well and good, that's fun, but there is a time and place for it, okay? Especially not in the middle of a town where that main road is a thoroughfare for a bunch of cop activities. And fun fact, cops have come to that meet already like multiple times on complaints of it. So that's why we harp on that so much, is because they have already threatened to kick us out. And unfortunately, the husband and wife have talked to them and kind of like settled that down, be like, no, like this isn't an every week thing. It's always some person that comes off the road and sees a meet and wants to make an ass of himself and show off. And to where they were like, okay, well, like y'all need to do something about it, because if it keeps up, y'all aren't going to be here anymore. And then sure enough, that next week someone comes up and does all of that stuff, and people are like, well, I don't understand why, like they really overreacted, like I don't understand why they made such a big deal about it. So that's why, because cops can come there and kick us out, and then we won't have any meet location anymore. Which, long story short, brings me to this parking lot like that I was mentioning before. Every Monday night, this used to be the biggest meet that would happen in all of Bryan College Station, okay? This whole parking lot would be lined with cars, and then bikes started coming and made the meet even bigger. It was a really cool deal, but even then, it was still a chill, like park and chill meet. People would just pull up just to basically hang out with their buddies, see all the cars that would pull up. Sometimes there'd be some new cars, sometimes cars driving from Houston that people would want to see. It was honestly a really cool meet to go to, and that's where I met a lot of my buddies was at this meet. And you know, this was a really big popping thing in town every Monday night. But as you can probably see here, well, Colby, what do you mean? There clearly wasn't a park and chill meet because there's burnouts and donut marks everywhere. Well, that wasn't from the Monday night meet. As you can see here, look, this whole parking lot is full of donuts, and like I said, this looks like a drag strip with all these burnouts that happen. And this was all just from a completely separate meet.
So just for some context, after the footage got corrupted, I was describing about the big main meet that normally happens, where it's just the cars and motorcycles would show up on Monday nights, and it was more of your typical, like I keep saying, park and chill meet, just a more relaxed environment. But on Friday nights, there would be a truck meet that would happen, that people would show up in their pavement princesses, their slam Silverados, their lock crawlers, just all sorts of crazy things, like these big lifted diesel trucks. And they would be doing the rolling burnouts, as you can see in the video, the donuts. And I actually did go to one at one point just to see what it was. And at least when I went, they were doing like actual drag races in the middle of the parking lot. Just pure, unadulterated hooligan behavior would happen at these Friday night meets.
Had nothing to do with the meet, had nothing to do with like the main really big meet that happened on Mondays. It was a completely different, smaller meet, just full of hooligan truck guys that wanted to do stuff like that around other people. And obviously the cops aren't going to be a fan of it, regardless if you think it's fun or fine or not. Because like I said, I like doing hooligan stuff, but there's a time and place for it, especially when you're trying to mitigate cop activity. Like, it's only a matter of time of people doing stupid stuff like that without the public starting to complain to police, and then they're going to come and shut the whole thing down. Regardless of what your thoughts are on the activity, on the hooligan activities itself, they're all fun. No one is disagreeing that burnouts and donuts and, I don't know, revving your bike and doing pulls by each other, like, no one's denying that that stuff is fun, but you have to understand that there's a time and place for it if you don't want your meet to get shut down by cops, okay? There's just a time and a place for it. If you want to go do that stuff, go down the road and, you know, go do a burnout in a parking lot by yourself. Go do a pull by yourself. Rev your bike by yourself away from the meet so you're not busting the freaking meet. It's really not that complicated, and I don't know why so many people are getting butthurt about it. Just settle down, everybody. That's the main gist. Just settle down. We all know what a 600 sounds like, especially one with no exhaust. It sounds horrible. Just save up some money, spend a few $100 on an Amazon knockoff exhaust, and just put an exhaust on it. It sounds like a bag of rocks is in your exhaust, okay? It doesn't sound good. Just because you can't afford a few $100 exhaust system doesn't mean you got to cut it off and ruin everybody's ears. So that's what I did. I've never spent more than $300 on an exhaust system just because I go get an eBay knockoff that sounds really good. So you should do the same thing too. I really recommend it. It would make your bike and your presence at a meet overall more likable, instead of making every single aspect of your bike very loud and very poppy and look at me. But anyways, oh, another thing, speaking I can't talk. I got more stuff, not to necessarily talk about or rant about, but on the topic of people complaining and, you know, basically getting the wrong idea of something. Dude, the YouTube short that I also posted on my Instagram page, it's the same thing, Colby88, just with some hashtags on it because the name was already taken. I'm surprised at how many negative comments that Instagram short I made about, like, don't start on a 600 basically, because a beginner doesn't know how to act in an emergency scenario. I'm surprised at how many negative comments I got on that. And I think, from what I can tell, from what people are saying, I think it's because they think I'm saying if you started on a 600, you're an idiot. That's not what I'm saying. If you started on a 600 and you're still with us, number one, congratulations. You must have done your homework, or you're just a very responsible rider, which I'm glad to hear that. But just because you are a tame rider doesn't mean that you should also recommend other riders to do the same, because no one is the same. We're all different, okay? And a comment I made to a guy on the post, I think he said, like, my buddy started on a ZX10 and he's fine, he just took it easy. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm glad your buddy had that responsibility to start on a crazy bike like that and was able to have discipline. But what you must understand is the majority of people are not buying a ZX10 to take it easy and learn on. They're buying a ZX10 to do triple digit speeds, go 180 their very first time out, okay? Your buddy's a dime a dozen and he is very responsible, but the majority of people that buy those bikes are not buying it to be responsible, which is why I don't recommend you start on one. Because like I said, the very first time I bought my 600, first 600 I ever owned, I thought I was going to be responsible, but guess what? I wasn't. I proceeded to get on it and be like, man, this thing has so much power. I really want to wring this thing's neck out. I instantly changed the mindset getting on this, like, okay, I need to take it easy. And then once I got used to it, I was like, oh yeah, this thing's got so much power. I'm going to see how much power it has. To which I then went to Highway 6 and proceeded to go speeds, which 3 numbers were involved. So that's what I'm saying. I also thought I was going to be responsible because people told me to be responsible on it. And guess what? I was for about 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, no, I'm not being responsible. I'm going to see what this bike is built to do. And luckily nothing happened. But that's why I don't recommend it. Because everybody thinks they're going to be fine and they're going to handle it and they're going to be responsible until they're in a situation until they aren't. And then it's up to how much luck that person has and how they're able to handle something. So yeah, I just want to address that because I thought that was very weird that people thought that was like a negative video, which even with that being said, I still got like a crazy amount of views and likes on both the YouTube and the Instagram one, which I didn't think was gonna happen. Like, I think right now the Instagram short is sitting at like in the high 2,000s. I think probably almost 3,000 likes. And the YouTube short has like over 5,000 views, which is insane because I thought I was probably gonna get, you know, a few hundred. I think before that post I had like maybe less than 140 to 150 subscribers. Now I'm at like over 200. So the post did a lot better than I thought it was going to. So thank y'all so much. And with that being said, I'm probably gonna end the video here because I'm pulling up to campus now. Hello, children. Guess high schoolers are having an event here today. Yeah, I'm gonna end the video here.
And once again, my GoPro decided to ruin the rest of the footage going on from here as well. So it actually did it 2 times in the whole span of this recording. So needless to say, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be on the search for a new camera to record with that isn't a piece of junk. So videos will probably be down for a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm gonna do the corny YouTuber thing and say, hey, if y'all like the video, please like it. If you didn't like the video, you can dislike it. That's free to do in this country, and it gives me feedback on what videos I should be making or maybe not should be making. So yeah, see y'all.